In order to fulfill my solemn duty to protect America and its citizens, the United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, but begin negotiations to re-enter either the Paris Accord or in really entirely new transaction on terms that are fair to the United States, its businesses, its workers, its people, its taxpayers. We will start to negotiate, and we will see if we can make a deal that's fair. And if we can, that's great. And if we can't, that's fine.
All right, that was the president earlier today announcing that he will pull the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, keeping a campaign promise. Here with reaction from Washington is the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. Mr. Vice President, it's always an honor. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Sean. It's a great day.
You know, it's really great because I read as much as $4 trillion in a worldwide tax. I'm sure we would pay the vast majority of it. Number one, he kept the promise. Number two, he said he's open to negotiating,
right,
but not a bad deal, and that's another promise that he kept. So tell us why this is so important.
Well, you know, I always tell people it's the greatest privilege of my life to serve as Vice President to President Donald Trump. And one of the biggest reasons, this is a man who gets up every day to keep the promises he made to the American people. And by withdrawing today from the Paris Climate Accord, the President has demonstrated his commitment not just to keep his word, but to put American workers, American consumers, American energy, and the American people first. This was a bad deal from the moment it was signed by the last administration. It's an international treaty that was never submitted to the Senate, probably because it never would have had a chance there. This is an agreement that puts an enormous burden on American consumers, on the American economy, while allowing countries like India and China to virtually get off scot-free for a decade or more. And the President today, after listening to all sides, after listening to European leaders last week, made a decision to fulfill his word to the American people, to get out of the Paris Accord, but also to leave the door open to the possibility of negotiating a completely new deal or going back into the agreement under terms that will put the American economy and the American people first.
I think, well, I've actually been really fighting for my career lately, so I've been a little busy with other topics, but I think this is really the only show in America that has listed the president's accomplishments. And I noticed when he was in the Rose Garden today that he went through part of that list that never seems to get reported. What are you most proud of, and what do you see coming? Because I'm a little worried about the time frame, the legislative calendar, about getting a lot of these things done before the end of the year.
Well, the President recounted many of the accomplishments. I tried to do the same in my introduction of the President today. But when you look through the list, you know, there's a reason why the Dow closed at a record level today. There's a reason why the month of May, we just found out 250,000 new jobs have been created. This economy
over 1 million now.
It's remarkable, Sean. As I travel around the country, the confidence, the enthusiasm, I tell, you know, people from the shop room floor to the boardrooms in this country know that they've got someone in the Oval Office who gets up every day and is fighting for them and fighting for American free enterprise and for jobs for the American people. But the list is kind of hard to go through in a short period of time. 14 different bills that rolled back Obama-era regulations that would have cost our economy, you know, more than $18 billion a year. The confirmation in record time since the 19th century of a Supreme Court justice who is committed to the rule of law and to constitutional principles and to holding back the administrative state. You look at a commitment to repeal and replace Obamacare, the way he's driving forward on tax relief, tax reform. I mean, the American people get it all the way through the decision today to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. This is a president who is fighting for the American people, fighting for American jobs. And I think the results, whether it be in those jobs numbers, or whether it be in the confidence that you see in businesses and even in our stock market, all speak for itself. America is back because they have a president in President Donald Trump who's fighting every day for them.
All right, Mr. Vice President, you've been gracious enough. We're going to air part 2 of our interview with you tomorrow night on the program, and we appreciate it. Well, we'll ask you about the unprecedented attacks against the president, the administration, his family, and more. But when we come back, we need your help. A very important question of the day, straight ahead.